We are going to be talking about what in this video, Mike?
Reframing your life, which changes everything.
All right, so let's start with what the heck is a reframe, and then we'll go into a bunch of different examples.
Yes. Well, a reframe is when we change the way we look or observe a person, a thing, or a situation. We see it through fresh eyes, so it is something entirely different. For example, is the glass half empty or is it half full already? Which is an interesting one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Okay, and we're going to make sure that we give you guys lots of useful examples that you can use in your own lives. Okay, so reframing, we wrote down here, it's a part of NLP, hypnosis, coaching, and lots of other things. Obviously, when you help somebody see something differently, and we say see, and when you help someone perceive, that's a better way to not specify a modality. Perceive something differently, their belief about it can change, their attitude towards it can change, their emotions can change, their behaviors will change.
Behaviors will then change as a result of this, which is a huge difference.
Change, like the classic, I mean, I don't know if you have the notes here, but the classic example of the woman who wanted perfect carpets.
Oh, she had the footprints.
I think it was Mandel and Chris Thompson about this. Yeah, and she saw footprints as, people not respecting the desire to have a clean house.
That it was dirty,
Yet when the therapist explained to her, well, maybe those footprints means you're surrounded by people who love you.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Boom, everything changed, right?
Yeah, so it wasn't...
Belief shifting happens in reframes, which is why it's so important.
It wasn't that the house was dirty, it's that there were other people there.
Right.
And the example I give is always a crazy one, but it's a good one. If you paint your face blue and run up the street screaming, they'll put you in a psychiatric institute. But if you do that at a Toronto Maple Leafs game, it's not only acceptable, it is a recommended behavior.
Totally normal,
so there you
and
go.
recommended behavior. That's right. Okay, so Let's talk about some of the reframes we want to offer, Mike. So I'll let you guide this whole conversation.
Okay, well, hypnotist Scott Adams did a book on reframing that I thought was brilliant. And I'm an NLP trainer, and I'd never really thought of this the way he approached it, which I think was really, really interesting, because he said you can do a reframe consistently, and it will work even if you don't consciously believe in it. Now,
even if you know it's wrong, if you just keep repeating it often enough, it can still work quite well for you.
Sure, because think about it. People do that with their lives all the time. They make all kinds of negative statements about their life, and they then begin to accept that that is true and act accordingly. It doesn't have to be true. A reframe only has to be useful.
A good example of that could be something like, sugar is poison. You could say Coca-Cola is poison. And it's not actually poison, but if you take it on as if it's true, even though you know it's not, you're more likely to not drink Coca-Cola or not eat sugar, or whatever the case may be. So that can help you make habit changes.
Very good point. And one of the ones Scott Adams said that I really like is people say, he's done some great reframes here. Someone says, oh, learn as much as you need to learn to function. In other words, it's going for a bare minimum of learning. And he reframes it as keep learning all the time, which is building your life schema. And that's something Chris and I have done forever. We're always building, always learning new things, whether it's meteorology or whatever. We're always taking on new beliefs. New understandings, which are then available for you to live a better life. Why stop learning and say, got enough?
Okay, so the reframe is, instead of positioning yourself as getting to a particular level, score.
Now you've learned enough.
Let's say that knowledge is on a score of 0 to 100, and at 100 you have all the knowledge, okay?
Right.
As if you could ever. But, I'm going to target getting to a 60 because that's enough. Well, why don't we turn it into a process where instead of a fixed destination, or in physics you say instead of a distance, let's aim for a velocity. I'm constantly moving forward, whether it be a slow rate or a fast rate. I am always learning. I'm always moving forward.
So much more powerful. And that way the brain will keep engaging, keep learning, just based on maintaining that reframe.
The first derivative of learning would be the rate of learning. There you go.
Science geek.
So for you.
Now, what if a person says, I can't sleep? Scott Adams is a really good one. I've sort of reframed his reframe. He said, I can't sleep, and the answer is, I didn't work hard enough today. Or the way I like it is, I didn't expend enough energy. So it might mean, I do a workout every day. I was doing 7-mile walks up at our cabin. And when I wasn't working out regularly, exercising, my sleep wasn't as good.
So if you have insomnia, you're reframing it as, well, maybe I'm a lazy bastard.
Well, maybe you are, yes. Or maybe just a bastard.
I like that. Okay. That's a really good thing, because it's not going to change anything in that moment for you, but maybe the next day it'll inspire you to think, guess it's time to do more exercise.
Spend some
I
energy.
sleep better. Right.
I like this one too. Like somebody says, "Oh, I'm crying because my relationship ended," and he gives the Dr. Seuss quote. You know, the cat. in the hat.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened."
And that's a reframing of like almost temporal. So you're smiling on the enjoyable past rather than the crying about you don't have that past anymore.
Well, that's it, Chris. As you know, my parents are both deceased. But the thing is, I can think back and smile because they gave me a really good upbringing. They were really good parents. So I smile when I think about them and think of all the quirks about my dad. And
Yeah. You know, that's an easy one too. If you lose somebody in their late 90s, let's say, like both of my grandparents that I lost in their late 90s, I smile upon that because they had great lives. So yeah, absolutely. Appreciate what you had rather than crying.
Bemoan the fact that you don't.
And that can be when a relationship ends or anything like that.
Stuff really
Look at that.
comes
My
out of the
computer is
dinging.
beeping, so I'm going to remind myself.
You
to
do
mute
that.
Both of them. There we go.
Okay, here's another one. Another great reframe to adopt. The person, oh, my past was terrible. We know people who cling to their pain. I mean, they hug their pain. It almost gives them identity. When I was a therapist, I would see this a lot. So instead of, oh, my past was terrible, it is, your past is past. It doesn't exist anymore anywhere.
And it was a massive learning opportunity too. Not necessarily opportunity, but it's something that you can draw on. The fact that, let's say you were bullied as a child and you got beaten up a lot.
Which I did.
Well, yeah, you did. And I didn't get to the same degree, but a little bit of bullied. And if that never, it toughens you, right? So you can look at, it's in the past. And now because that happened, I'm tougher. I'm smarter. I'm more wise to that. I'm not going to put up
more
with crap.
Resourceful. That which does not kill me makes
more
me
assertive,
stronger, right?
more strong. So in many cases, people who had very tough upbringings end up being more successful. So you can look at that as a coat of arms.
Tremendous coat of armor and learning experience. And it was Richard Bandler who said the reason we call it the past is because it's over.
It's over.
Yeah, great one, isn't it?
That's a great one. Okay, I love this one. I got fired from a good job. I just got fired.
From a good job. Yeah. Reframe, you've just been given an immense opportunity to do something else.
Somebody has forced an opportunity on you
so make
to
it work.
Your life even better. We used to talk about this a lot when I worked on Canada's version of Wall Street. It was called Bay Street. So I used to be a stock analyst. And that was an industry where people would lose their jobs all the time, not because they sucked at it or anything, but just the economy would change. You know, this sector's out of favor. We don't need an analyst covering that anymore. We don't need two of you. We only need one. So somebody gets cut loose. You know what? A lot of the times people wanted to move on and do something else. They just didn't have the whatever, the threshold, let's say. They weren't at the threshold to make the change themselves. So when someone forces it upon you, it's
you're thrown out of the boat, you got to swim all of a sudden.
Yeah. Now, good news. And so many times I witnessed people got let go and they went on to new heights and they are so happy.
That's fantastic.
There you go.
You know, here's a nice little bizarre reframe I came up with. Our new neighborhood is full of elderly people. Look at the reframe. Oh, you mean it's a nice, quiet, peaceful place?
Yes. Nobody's going to be bothering you. Yeah. There's lots of ways to reframe. So challenge yourself. Look for ways to reframe. You have here written down, my family didn't invite me for Thanksgiving dinner. What's the reframe opportunity there?
Here's an opportunity to find a better meal elsewhere. And here's why this is a good one. My wife and I don't have a family to have Christmas with. My sister's down in Arizona.
Come to my house.
Thanks, buddy. My family is far around the world. They're not nearby. And my wife's family basically just stopped having her over for Christmas, even though it's her birthday. And so all of a sudden, from having Christmas and her birthday with everybody every year, we had nothing. You know what we did? Every year, we go to the Royal York Hotel, Fairmont Hotel, have this gorgeous, super expensive meal. And now we got Suzanne coming with us. We're giving her Christmas dinner this year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it gave us an opportunity to create a new tradition that's even freaking better.
Yeah, that's good. I like that a lot. Okay, let's look at I failed at my... Oh, actually, before we move on.
All right.
There was one that was just in my mind.
What was it, Chris, and what else have
when it comes back, I'll bring it up if I remember it. But we'll go back to I failed at my task. The idea of failure is feedback.
Yeah,
right?
it's just a mechanism.
You just learned something. Think about failure. Does a kid who's I remember when my daughter took her first steps and I caught it on camcorder.
Oh, nice.
Well, she took a step or two and fell down.
Yeah.
You think she went,
That's it. I'm giving up on the whole walking thing.
This walking thing is... It's for adults, you know. No, kids get back up, right? So learn from your mistakes, failures, feedback. And I remember now what it was, by the way, the opportunity. When you said opportunity, in business school, we talk about doing a SWOT analysis in a situation: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Well, one of the most common things that you'll hear is a weakness becomes an opportunity. Where are you weak? That's your opportunity to improve.
Oh, that's
next
nice.
time around, right? Well, this product is being beaten by this competitor because it has thin, crappy plastic shell instead of nice anodized aluminum. Hi, MacBook Air. So
Personal application.
Opportunity. Let's find a material even better than that and use that in the next iteration of the design.
Honestly, guys, this one is freeing when you realize that failure is only feedback. It's only information. You just dissociate from it and listen for the information. You found something that doesn't work, so now you're a step closer to the solution. And, you know, Chris and I, we have a business here. And sometimes he has to chide me about stuff and bring correction. And he actually apologizes to me and says, you know, I hope you know. I said, I don't take it the wrong way. You're just giving me useful information to which I can use to change my behavior.
Yeah, when someone's you could even, because I'm pretty good, but let's say somebody just gets really mad at you and they're yelling at you and they're saying stuff and you just strip away the emotion and go,
listen for the data.
It's just data.
Just data. It's useful data.
Just information.
Yep,
right?
just information.
So take the information. That's a really good reframe. We didn't even write this here, did we? But that's a bonus one.
That's the point, though, isn't it?
I like your ego state one here.
I hate washing dishes.
I hate washing dishes.
Hate washing dishes. Now, we have a great Miele dishwasher. I don't want you to think I'm doing poorly and we have to hire people to wash our dishes or something. But we have a Miele. It's good. But we don't put the pans and the wok and all that stuff. And there's still things to do by hand. And so I never liked it. But you know what?
I hate washing dishes.
I found I've got an ego state, a sub-personality that just relishes these mindless, repetitive tasks, can feel the water, and I use it to put on a playlist and just zone out with some really nice music.
I like that too. And I'll give you another reframe because I do the dishes. My wife does the cooking, but I do the dishes. And so when the dinner's over, I clear the table. I put all the stuff that's going in the dishwasher, get all the big stuff into the sink ready to go, put on some music.
Yeah.
And say, get out of the kitchen. Like, get out.
Yep.
It's my job now. And that's my way of also appreciating that she cooked an amazing meal. So now I get to show back that appreciation by cleaning up.
That's good, man.
And I get to listen.
I'd rather do the cooking than the cleaning, frankly. But yes.
I hear you. I'm not that good at it.
How about this one?
All right.
I'm stuck in traffic.
Oh, yeah. So for anyone, that's actually good for anyone who drives and gets stuck in traffic, like the Don Valley parking lot in Toronto.
Right.
Parkway. Why do you park on a driveway but drive on a parkway?
I don't know, Stephen, right?
Anyway, so if you get stuck in traffic or if you have a long commute on a commuter train or bus or whatever, if you've got to spend time in a vehicle and go, why do I have to be so stuck here and waste all my time?
What a useless question.
What's the opportunity?
What a nice opportunity you've got to listen to a useful book or an interesting podcast.
Or watch videos like this.
This is it. You know, we were going to Las Vegas. We go to Hypnothoughts Live every year, the biggest hypnosis convention in the world. And last year I got there early at the airport. Chris and Timothy were coming from Colorado or something, Washington, meeting me there. So I was at the airport in Toronto at 6:30 in the morning, had an early flight. I left at supper time. I literally had the entire day. But people, all that must have pissed you off. Actually, it didn't at all. I had my iPad with me, a charger. I had some good books.
You got in the lounge?
I'm in the lounge. They have bourbon. You just pace yourself one an hour. I have food. I had 2 meals. I just zoned out and enjoyed the day, talked to some people. It's an opportunity to chill.
Exactly. You can look at it as, oh, somebody just handed me time that I wouldn't have otherwise invested in this thing. Now I can invest in reading or watching a video or listening to a podcast. Or,
you know, Chris, I even apply that if I wake up in the night and you know those times when you know you've woken up, you're suddenly wide awake
going and
I don't lie there trying to sleep anymore. I get out of bed, put the fire on downstairs, put the lights on the tree, and get a good book. I'm reading one on different pianists and just, I've been given an hour to read.
I love that. That's a great
All right.
Okay. We've got I'm nervous about this presentation I have to give.
Oh, this is one that I used. Now, when I would do hypnosis shows, and I've been retired from the stage almost 7 years now, if you can believe that. Used to do hypnosis shows. Keynotes were easy. They've hired me to speak to people. That's not a big deal. But to try to get a resistant corporate group who's in front of their peers, many of the times they didn't even know I was going to come and do a show, just so we have some entertainment. Then I'm not going up there. I'm not going. And they could be difficult shows. You're getting very small groups of volunteers. There's, other distractions going on. And I used to hate doing corporate things until I realized I reframed the butterflies in the stomach. You say, I'm nervous about dealing with this audience. I'm nervous. I don't get stage fright. It's not that. It was the fear of doing a crap gig. And I said, I've got butterflies in my stomach. And one night I went, you know what this is? This is the power rush. This is the adrenaline, the energy to have.
So you
to
reframed
knock 'em
that
dead.
feeling.
Yeah, and it completely disappeared.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Change it.
So give yourself the opportunity to reframe feelings about situations that you were feeling uncomfortable with. That's a good idea.
What about this next one?
Okay, this is great. So a lot of people, you wrote, I'm getting old. I'm going to even change it.
I'm getting older.
A lot of the times people say, I'm old, I'm too old, whatever. Now, I've heard people say that, okay, whether you're in your 70s, like Mike, whether you're, don't want to admit it, in your 50s,
like you,
like me, just turned 50 this summer, or whether you're in your freaking, like my daughter will say, oh, don't call me 20. She just turned 20. She doesn't want to admit she's 20 now because that's old. So 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. People will say, eventually you will hear people say, I'm too old for that, or it's because I'm old. Reframe it as one of two things. One is I'm just older. That's a relative statement. You're older than you were yesterday or an hour ago. So that means nothing, and that takes away its power to disarm you like, oh, I'm only too old now. The other thing is you can frame it as it's not anything to do with age. I'm too old to be able to do this thing anymore, let's say. No. You've just spent a long duration of time not doing it. It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with time spent not doing the thing, the exercise, the walk, the
You can still turn things around to a very large degree.
100%. Yeah. So don't think of it as related to how old you are. Think of it as related to how long you spent not doing the thing. And if you just start doing it again, you'll get better at it.
And another one, if you feel like you're getting old, you're aging, I like you're accumulating wisdom that only comes from life experience.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, interestingly, in the former Soviet Union, so many of the leaders were in their 80s. And that was in the West until Biden, that would have been considered unusual.
Yeah.
But they saw it as you needed to have the life experience to make these wise decisions. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's quite a bit different.
Yeah, that's true. That's why you
seem confused.
You don't see the president of the United States typically being 30 years old or something like that.
No, I think who was the youngest? Who knows?
I don't know.
We're in Canada.
All right, so
conclusion
we'll wrap up here. Go ahead.
When something goes off the rails, and it will occasionally, ask yourself, how can I reframe this to make it more livable, more enjoyable, more useful? Remember, a reframe does not have to be true, just useful. And so by acting as if it's true consistently, believing it, at least ostensibly on the surface, you can change the quality of your life. And I'll give you a quick example. I used to hang out with this guy, Danny, and he was a why me? Why me? Why does everything happen to me? Why have you got a good life and I get a crap? Like, why me? Why me? Why me? One day I said to him, your life does suck. And I didn't know any of this stuff back then. This is the 70s. I said, wouldn't you get up every day and say, wow, I'm the luckiest guy on earth. I am so lucky. He started reframing himself as lucky. And stuff started happening that was better in his life because he was looking for better stuff. Yeah.
There you go. Reframes for the win. All right.
For the win.
Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks once again. And good night.